Welcome to what are we called? And he did it again.
We've got to kick this in.
Yeah. Welcome to Meanwhile in Andorra, the podcast where we talk football, nonsense, and everything in between. This week we'll be concentrating on a special on Scotland and their appearances and lack of at the World Cup over the years, and all the tragedies, triumphs, and funny moments as well, as we'll come on to talk about. So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Ricky, if you haven't been listening to the earlier episodes, and I'm here with Travis. So yeah, I guess we're here to talk about Scotland this week. Trav, there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah. As Ricky said in that intro, I said we've got to keep all of that intro in. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's all going to survive the edit, but I'm Travis Newton, the Stato geek who's been happily swatting up on his Scottish World Cup appearances. I was just telling Ricky I spent 50 minutes in the car today watching extended highlights of every game between 1974 and 1990 that they played at the World Cup. So I'm good. I'm ready to go here, guys. I'm ready to go.
You're not giving away any secrets either, because they have been at World Cups after 1990. We know they've been.
Yeah. But I ran out of time, basically. I ran out of time. My research went up to the present day, but but I ran out of time, so I was like, that would do for now. I had to go pick the kids up. Unfortunately, it got in the way of my research.
So, as we discussed in our research, there's quite a lot to go through with Scotland. So, we're going to break this up into different parts. So, I think we're going to start off with the early years in terms of, and it believe me, it's as entertaining as the later years when we get through it. So, obviously, Scotland. Early doors, they didn't qualify or didn't actually get a chance to.
Didn't enter. That's the thing. It's not even qualifying. It's like I think I wrote in my notes snootiness. And they in England. So like at the beginning, right? Like in footballing terms, England and Scotland are obviously like the inventors of the game. Obviously, England invent it, Scotland kind of take it, and like there's this whole thing about like I don't know how much you know about this, but like in England they play the dribbling game. Like, and this is around like the Victorian times, maybe like sort of like up to the beginning of the World Cup. England play like dribbling football. So you get a really good winger. He gets the ball. He dribbles past everyone and tries to score. And Scotland are renowned for their passing game. Like it's just a trait of Scottish football. And but both sides think they're better than everyone else. So when the World Cup starts, they're just like, well, we're not going to play because we're better than you. Like, why are we going to play in this silly tournament that you've had in Uruguay? And we don't even know where Uruguay is probably, but like, you know, we don't need to go there. And as a result, they basically just decide, no, we're not going to be at so they're not at 30, 34 or 38. And then we have the war. And then they start going, oh, this is quite popular, actually. Maybe we need to get involved.
And was it post the war? And I'm asking this more because I don't know. Was it just in that post-war agreement where we had said, well, if you're going to do this, you enter as Scotland, not the UK?
That's an interesting one. I'm not sure. I don't know whether that's like a historic FA type thing, because that's I've never thought about that, because obviously that's the reason why we don't enter the Olympics, isn't it? Because we and obviously there was an Olympics before the war that I believe we entered a UK team in or a GB team in. So maybe actually there's something in that, mate. Like I'm not sure. That's probably answers on a postcard. Into Meanwhile in Andorra to see. But yeah, that's a really good question, actually. You've completely stumped me there, mate. I don't know, but yeah.
I think I remember it coming up when we entered when we hosted the Olympics in 2012. I think there was the talk of why it existed and everything else.
Yes.
And I think that's where it come out, it was a part of the post-war agreement. I don't think we got it quite in the treaty, but it was in. I think if we enter international tournaments, we got it announced that we would not be entering as the UK, but we'd be doing it as an independent nation.
Well, it's agreements. Yeah, there's agreements because obviously we've got different FAs, right? So, like, I think, and that was what I think when we entered the 2012 Olympics, there was not a I don't think there was ever a doubt that FIFA was going to go, actually, you have to be the UK now. But like there needed to be like guarantees from particular FAs that like they weren't going to lose their identity and stuff like that by entering a team. And even though it was just for the sake of us being at that Olympics, and I went to a couple of games as well, which is good. But am I right? I'm right in saying that Scotland didn't even go to that, did they? It was just England and Wales at that yes. Tournament. I'm not sure who was good and Scottish at the time, anyway, because you will find out later on in the pod. That was probably the most barren years of Scottish football. So I'm not sure anybody could have made that squad.
I would struggle to name one or two players that would have even probably been close to getting into that squad.
Yeah. Around 2012. Who's a good Scottish player in 2012?
Wow. That's...
Yeah. Going to get pelters from someone. I honestly don't know. Anyway,
when we were saying about the 1950s and Scotland being snobbish about the football, I was trying to think, when you were saying they probably didn't even know where Uruguay was, I was trying to imagine a Scottish person saying Uruguay in the 1950s.
Yeah, especially like a Glaswegian, right?
Oh, mate.
I don't going to try. The trick is purple burglar alarm, isn't it? They can't say purple burglar alarm. And I work with, I'm not going to, I don't think I've mentioned where I work, but I work with lots of Scots, and they can't say, if you're from that way, you can't say purple burglar alarm because of the, get your dad to do it.
That'd be hilarious. I'm going to try it with all my family. I don't even want to attempt. The Glasgow accent is the one accent in Scotland that even the Scottish struggle to understand because it's that thick. So yeah, it's ridiculous. But yes, 1950.
Sorry. We digress, don't we?
Yeah, the opportunity, well, sort of arises for them to come.
Well, it does, doesn't it? Like, and I don't know how much you know about the story of it, but like, there's obviously the Home Nations Championship, which is kind of deemed that they're like, yeah, well, this is the World Cup, really, because like we're the best teams in the world, so like whoever wins this is the best team. And the FIFA kind of in a way of trying to appease us and Scotland, they go, right, okay, we'll give you 2 places at this World Cup. And the 1950 World Cup's a weird one because if lots of people pull out, I think Argentina pull out, India pull out. So you have a really lopsided, it's supposed to be like 4 groups of 4. And it ends up being like 13 teams or something like that because you have like one group that's got like 2 in it, or another one that's got like 3. And it's really weird, right? So as a result, and I don't even know if that adds up to 13, but like it's something along those lines. And one of the reasons why is because we FIFA say to us, look, like, you know, not you and Scotland, they say whoever comes top 2 in the Home Nations Championship, so that's 2 out of 4, can qualify for the World Cup. And the Scottish FA are very, very confident because they're a good side, and they're like, we'll come top. So we are not going to go to the World Cup unless we come top of that group. So if we come second, don't care. And I think that in true Scotland fashion, I think we both win our first games. I think England and Scotland both win their first games. And it basically comes down to like the last game, which is England v Scotland. And I think they only need a draw. Do they need a draw?
Draw.
They only need a draw, yeah, and obviously they lose because it's Scotland, and and then they say to the FIFA, and then there's all this whole thing. I think England are begging the Scottish FA to let them go, and I think like Tommy Wright, like the guy that the English captain, the famous captain, I'm pretty certain he's involved in it, and like they're trying to get the FA to like allow them to go anyway, and the FA are like, no, we're sticking to our guns. We are not going to the 1950 World Cup, so they don't go. Which is absolutely mad a concept if you think.
They saw the price of the flight. That's probably what it was.
Well, it would yeah. Well, and interestingly, in 1950, like I don't, like Italy went by boat still because of the you had the Superga or Superga. I never know how you pronounce it, but the air disaster in '49 with Torino, which killed half the Italian squad, and they're all scared to fly, so they get a boat, and obviously after like sailing for like 2 weeks or whatever, they're useless when they get there and they get battered. So like you're talking about that time in the world history where you can still get a boat somewhere and it take you ages to get there. And then like you get 54, and we were both. You were saying you'd looked a bit at 54, which again is like mental, isn't it?
It's mental because it's like it's a running joke in our family where so half my family are Scottish, and you like they qualify and they do really well. Where is it? They beat Northern Ireland, drew with wows, but lost to England. But they topped their group, their qualifying group, and they qualify. So they're like, yes, this is brilliant. We're going to go. Like we're doing well. We've done what we wanted to do in 50, and we're going to go. And it's in Switzerland, so it's closer as well.
Yeah, it's not
in Brazil. It's not that far away, especially being where they're based. Yeah. And then they decide, you know what? We've got this. We're going to take 13 people.
Yeah, we don't need to take a whole squad.
Yeah,
what's that for? You can't even make subs anyway in 1950 or 54, so like it doesn't matter. So you just take 13. The subs are just for like if someone breaks their leg or whatever in a bad tackle or whatever, they can play the next game. Yeah. Which is it's crazy, isn't it? Like 13 players for when and FIFA are like, no, you can take 22. They're like, no, we're fine. 13 will do.
You have the feeling it's the sort of thing you read in books where you're like, the arrogance has put a curse on them, and it lasted forever.
Indeed, and now they're not that good, unfortunately. And they start off with a loss to Austria, don't they? Who are good then as well. Austrian football is like basically like Hungary and Austria are like the place where in Europe where all of the tactics come from in football, which is why Hungary are good at that time. So they lose 1-0 to Austria, and it's like, okay, decent, like they're a decent side. And weirdly, in 1954, you have groups of 4, right? Yeah. But they seed them, right? So they seed the teams, and you only play 2 games in your group, which is why they only play 2 games, which is really weird. So they don't play the other team, and I don't know who the other team in that group is with the thing. I know I've failed everybody, but but as a result, they only play Austria, and then they play Uruguay, who are like the champions from 1950, and they get an absolute hiding. It's 7-0.
It's still the heaviest loss that they've
is
ever
it
had.
really
in the World Cup? Yeah, so it's ridiculous, but it's the Scotland things that we come to remember, right? Like this is what happens with them.
This is what they do, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, they were. What is it? It was their second game, Uruguay, wasn't it?
The second game, of the 2, and then they're home. And that's it, because there's no third game because there's some weird rule where you only play 2 of the teams in your group.
I think their goal difference wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think there was a chance of going through. There's no best third places in 1954, so I think they were well and truly out by that point.
Is it first time total chaos lasted a lifetime? It's basically
yeah.
And so they meant that they didn't actually score a goal that World Cup as well.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So
do you know? And I don't know. I've written a summary of 58 here, and I can't really. I don't remember. Did they score a goal in 58?
Your first World Cup goal in 1958 was a 1-1 draw with Yugoslavia
in the first game. Go on, Ricky. Go on, Ricky.
First ever World Cup game. And
teaching me something.
Before. We were talking about their players, and this is the one where we were both shocked. This is when they took Denis Law to the World Cup.
Yeah.
18-year-old Denis Law.
That's 2 things you've taught me today.
Probably looked a lot older than the 18-year-old Pele. But he never looked young.
Did he have a mullet like he did in the 70s?
He just always had hair like a troll, basically. Like one of those troll rolls. No, it's just always up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even when he's older. But so 1958, same story basically.
The funny thing about 58, I don't know about this, but you know this, but they play. So you say they play Yugoslavia and draw, as you say. Then they play Paraguay, right? And Paraguay aren't great in 1958, but they're really physical, but they don't bother scouting them. And later on in this story, you're going to have another one where they don't bother scouting a team, and it also comes back to bite them in the ass. And they don't bother scouting Paraguay, and they rest all of their combative players. So they've brought 22 players, but they're like, no, do you know what? We're going to leave these guys out. The ones that are really hard and tough tackling, we'll leave them out. this team from wherever they are in South America can't be. You know, they'll be all right. They'll be a walkover. And Paraguay are like really physical, and they get beat. I think they lose like 3-2 or something. And it's like, and everyone's like, why the hell did you drop those guys? Like, bearing in mind you can't make subs in 1958, so like it's like a, you know, it's, you know, you're stuck with the 11 that you pick. It's ridiculous. Like
that South American team that beat us 7-0 was a fluke.
Yeah, that was a fluke.
And they all played football. There was no strong players. Like it was, so we're going to match.
It's an absolute fluke. Whatever this is. This is not Uruguay. This is Paraguay. They're rubbish. Yeah. So they lose to Paraguay, and then they play France, and they lose to them. And France are 1958 is Just Fontaine's France. A little stat for you. The most goals ever scored in a single tournament is Just Fontaine in 1958. Probably got a couple against Scotland as well. He scores like 4 in the fourth place game or something like that against Germany. I think it's Germany in 58. Yeah. So like, so they played that France, who are good. So like, you know, I think Raymond. Have you heard of Raymond Kopa, who like gets to a couple of European Cup finals back then when Real Madrid are like winning it every year? And he's playing for France, and it's like, you know, they're France are good. France are good in 1958. So basically, they rest players against Paraguay, draw with Uruguay, and then chuck it away against France. And then they don't, and then they don't show up in the 60s, do they?
No, it's like they've got other things to do.
Well, we're busy winning it in the 60s, aren't they? And then they beat us. Obviously, do you know that they beat us at Wembley the year after we won it? And they always claim that they're that's why there's that whole lineage. The lineage trophy. Pardon?
Doing kick-ups on the halfway line.
Yes, I think something like that. Yeah. Was that game?
Yeah.
I don't remember. They beat us.
First game after the World Cup that we played, and England just don't turn up, and it's awful. And I think, the Scottish team, I can't remember who it was, if it was Denis Law or someone like that. They started doing kick-ups on the halfway line, like literally just playing with the ball, wasting time.
Wow.
It was the ultimate dig. I mean, England had the World Cup, so I don't think they were too bothered. But it was.
West Ham at the World Cup.
He's got it in. We're 3 podcasts in, and he got it in.
I've never said that in my life, by the way. I just genuinely never said that in my life. But we did have it. But no, I'm joking. But they beat us. Yeah, they beat us in, I think it was like 67 or whatever. That, as you say, like first game back at Wembley, we lose to them, and then they literally cut lumps of turf up and that, and take the crossbars down and all this other stuff, and then there's a thing that starts there. They say they're the unofficial world champions. It's a bit like, you know, there's a whole thing on the internet still, isn't there, where people believe that, I think Sweden were the last ones or something like that, where like you're the lineage of like whoever wins the World Cup, the next team to beat them becomes the like in boxing, becomes the world champions, and Scotland became the unofficial world champions. But and if you trace it back to that day, I can't remember who it is now, but there's web pages for it. I'm not that sad. I actually haven't worked that out yet. Yeah.
Well, it obviously spurred them on, because then this is when they started to go for
the glory years.
The glory years. So,
the glory years, as we call them, yeah.
Before we go into the glory years, we'll take a quick break, and we'll prepare yourselves for the tragedy that you've heard so far, and then we'll go into actually what Scotland will consider their
scoring some goals at a World Cup. Yeah.
and maybe a song or two to celebrate it as well.
Yeah, we've got to play the song.
So welcome back, everyone. As you've heard so far, we are doing a special on Scotland in this podcast, and they're, a tragic, I'd say more of a tragedy, not tragic, but more of a tragedy story or tragedy tale in terms of their history at the World Cup. So we've talked about their woeful performances in the early years for the ones they bothered to turn up at and bothered to then research teams or not. They failed to qualify in the 60s. They were obviously too busy enjoying themselves, as was half the nation. But then we come to the 70s, where it actually starts to look like it could pick up for them. And they've actually got some good players, and world-class players as well.
They're good in the 70s and we're rubbish. Like, the roles reverse, isn't it? Like, we win a World Cup and then we don't qualify for another one for like... Do you know, we didn't qualify, I know it's not about England, but we didn't qualify for a World Cup between 1962 and 1982.
What were West Ham
because
doing in that time?
I know, right? That's when we really went West Ham.
Yeah.
That's the true West Ham. But like, yeah, because we were hosts in 66. Then we're like holders in 70, and then we just don't qualify in 74 and 78. And I'm sure there's a pod to be made from that. But like on the subject of Scotland, obviously they.
Do you know what happened between that?
Yeah,
West Ham win the FA Cup.
They do. They win a couple. They win one. They win one in 64. They win one, and then 75 the next one.
And then
there's a few. Yeah, I know. So like in that time, yeah, we were strong, but like obviously that's where England have obviously put all their powers into West Ham as opposed to.
So yeah, sorry, I digress. So you were saying Scotland.
Yeah, no. So in 70, interestingly, and I know we were going to kind of talk about 74, but I was like, right, let's have a look at what they did in 1970. Why weren't they there? And they got a manager called Bobby Brown in 1970, which I loved. Not the every little step I take, man, but yeah, you will be. Yeah, not him. But in Austria, in Austria they beat Austria in the qualifiers, right? They score 13 in 2 games against Cyprus, and you're like, oh, you're decent. And then they draw with West Germany, So West Germany come either 3rd or 4th in 1970. I don't remember which one. They lose a semi-final to Italy, right? Which is called the game of the century and all this other stuff. They lose 4-3 in the semis. So they're a decent side. And Scotland draw with them at home. And then they just have to basically not lose in Germany. And they're in a good place. Yep. And obviously, as is the tale, they take the lead in Germany and then they lose.
Surprise!
Yeah, they chuck it away and they lose 3-2. So, like, yeah, they don't go to 1970, but obviously the seeds of, like players being there. You've got Celtic winning the European Cup in 68, as you said, the Lisbon Lions. And, like, the standard of British football in the 70s is quite strong, like, domestically anyway. You see a period where we're starting to... I say that, but actually the Dutch are probably stronger domestically because you had Ajax and Feyenoord winning Champions Leagues or European Cups at that point. But like, yeah, you have like Celtic, you've got Man United who win a European Cup. So like you've got good players, but and some of them are Scottish. And then in 1974, and like I said, I watched this about 2 hours ago. This is absolutely brilliant. They get knocked out without losing a game. And I don't know whether you've seen any of it, right? So like... Yeah. They also, and I've written in my notes, they begin their love affair with drawing Brazil. Now, I don't know if anyone remembers me talking about it at the last pod, and I said that it isn't a World Cup unless Nigeria and Argentina are in the same group. And another one for you is that if Scotland get to a World Cup, they must draw Brazil. There has only been, and I'm probably gonna get this wrong, but I think there's been 2 of their like 8 appearances, I want to say. No, there's more than 2, actually. There's been more than 2 because in the 50th they didn't draw Brazil. But, like, in the modern era, in 74, 82, 90, and 98, they always play Brazil and somehow chuck it away. And 74 is probably the best performance against Brazil. So, again, like I was saying, I actually watched this earlier. It is the worst game of football you will ever... Like, if it was played today, both teams would end with 8 players. Like people are like chopping each other down. Brazil are rubbish. Brazil like I don't know if I'm like so in 1970 when Brazil win the World Cup, they've got their team. Everyone says, "Oh, they're the best ever!" Like, and they one of the best. And in 74, lots of those players have retired, and they are just running around kicking lumps out of each other. And Scotland are on the receiving end in this game, man. Like it's like it. You look at it and you're like, who is this team they're playing in yellow? They're absolutely kicking lumps out of them. It's just a horrible game of football that finishes 0-0. And then they play Yugoslavia. And again, I watched this. I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
So they play Yugoslavia in the second game, and Yugoslavia score with about 5 minutes to go. And it's like, oh, God, everyone's beating Zaire because Yugoslavia beat Zaire 9-0 and Brazil beat them 3-0. So it's like, you've got to basically make sure you don't lose those other games.
Yeah.
And... they're losing with like 5 minutes to go against Yugoslavia, and then Joe Jordan pops up, first name that we probably recognise commonly in modern football. But Joe Jordan pops up and scores an equaliser in the 89th minute. Like a little ball pops out to him, bangs it in, it's 1-1. And then they play Zaire in their last game. And as I said, Yugoslavia have beaten them 9-0. Brazil have beaten them 3-0. And they basically got to better the goal difference. And being Scotland, they go 2-0 up really early. Really early. They're like 2 up and it's like, well, we just need another goal. And then Zaire start coming back into it. And you see like they have a couple of chances and stuff. And then there's like, I think, is it Joe Jordan that misses an absolute sitter, or is it Bremner? Someone misses an absolute sitter. And then, Lorimer, who scores an absolute worldie against Zaire in the first half, smashes the bar. And they literally, as I said, in Scotland fashion, they bravely just crash out, like having not lost the game, but by not having enough, having scored enough goals.
But and the funny thing is, they're not, like you mentioned Joe Jordan, like I guess for those more modern, not realising that he did have a good football career. He, Harry Redknapp's aggressor.
Yeah.
On the coach.
That Spurs game at Milan, right?
Yeah.
Gattuso.
His roll neck, looking more like the angry professor. He looks like a Bond villain when he gets angry. At that point. Definitely someone I wouldn't want to mess with. But they're a good team. Like they've got, in terms of players, they had great players in that squad. In
Kenny Dalglish is there in 74.
Kenny Dalglish, Denis Law's in his last World Cup, Archie Gemmill, Joe Jordan.
Is Gemmill in 74 as well?
Yeah, he's in 74. He's in the squad. Jimmy Johnston's in the squad, which is a really interesting player because he did so well for Celtic.
Yeah.
It never really came about for him for Scotland. And he always, I don't know if it produced a sort of, not arrogance or ignorance in terms of when he put on the shirt, he didn't then perform, because he says he felt that Scotland fans booed him when he played for Scotland, and he didn't feel that he played his best. So he was like an unused sub, I think, in most of 74.
No way.
Which is mad when you think Scottish really great, great individuals.
Well, like we said, like Joe Jordan's won the league. At that point, you've got Lorimer, Bremner, all those guys that won the league with Leeds, and that like they're good. They've got people that are like making European Cup finals and winning league titles and all this other stuff. And they're all there, and as you say, that just doesn't work.
And then you go to 78, and you think, well,
78
is this the year
it's the best one, mate. 78 is literally, it's like Schadenfreude exponentially like multiplied. Is absolutely brilliant. Ali's Tartan Army in the 70s. There are so many notes that I've made on this World Cup. I've read like years ago, read like a Times or Guardian long read on 1978 and how disastrous it was. How and Ali McLeod and it's brilliant. Because on the build up, right? So 78, right? Again, they've got really good teams, right? Oh, sorry, really good players. They beat Czechoslovakia in the qualifiers. For context, Czechoslovakia are the reigning European champions, right? For anyone that knows anything, Panenka, the name of the penalty, came from the guy that did it to beat Germany in the European Championship final. Czechoslovakia are a good side. I think they beat the Netherlands to get to that European Cup final, or Championship final. And Scotland knocked them out in the qualifiers. Like they're like, no, we're better than you. Beat them. And it's like they go to that World Cup and they genuinely think, I think Ali McLeod says, we're coming home with a medal. And it's brilliant. And then this is where, like I said, I watched all these guys. I've seen these games before, but lucky, I watched the load earlier. It's absolutely, like, it's brilliant. I know you've obviously watched the Netherlands game, but did you see either of the Peru and the Iran game?
I've seen bits of them. I'm not enough to comment, to be fair. I've only ever seen bits of them.
Well, I'm gonna set the scene for you, mate. So they play Peru, and I think Joe Jordan scores. Is it Jordan again? It might be Joe Jordan scores early, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're better than Peru, and it's a really good move. Bruce Rioch, do you remember Bruce Rioch?
Yeah.
From Arsenal, he shoots, and it comes out, and I think Jordan scores, right? And it's like, yeah, we're better than Peru. We're going to beat them. And no one knows anything about Peru, right? Now, Peru have got a guy called Tefio Cubillas, right? And he played in 1970. And he, at one point, wins like, I don't know, South American Player of the Year or something. He's considered like one of their, if not their best player of all time, right? He scores 2 absolute worldies outside of the boot. Like, one of them is running, and they give him a little bit of time on the ball, and he just smashes it top corner, running outside of the boot. Then they get like a free kick on the break when they're like 2-1 down. Like they get a free kick because Scotland are all over the place, and you're like, well, obviously you can't hit this because you're right-footed. He hits it outside of the boot, top corner, and the goalie, who I'm going to talk about a little more in Alan Ruff, he is useless, absolutely useless. But he gets beaten there, and it's like, well, you can't do anything about it. They then play Iran, second game, right? And again, I talked about it earlier, no scouting, right? Famously, they decided these guys, these guys don't need scouting. We're going to beat them. They've, what this is their first ever World Cup. They're not going to be any match for us. We're Scotland. We've got Dalglish. We've got all these people that are, like I said, they're winning European Cups and blah, 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 blah. They're going to be fine. And again, they take the lead. And the goal Scotland take the lead from this time is like really scrappy. It's terrible. If you see it, the Iranian player looks like he's shooting at the goal that he shouldn't be shooting at. It's like a scramble. The goalie's on the floor and he just bangs it in his goal. And I don't really understand what happens there. And you're like, yeah, they're terrible. And then in the second half, there's a bit where Scotland just don't clear the ball. And he gets knocked to the back post. And Ruff gets beaten from like an angle. And I watched it 3 times earlier. And I was like, how? I don't understand. It's like, I just don't understand how they score from the angle they score at. And even the commentator's like, oh, it's gone through Ruff. And I'm like, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing? And he makes it to the 1982 World Cup, by the way, and still is rubbish in that competition as well. So I don't know what they were doing goalie-wise, but like they obviously didn't have any decent ones to kind of be, to take him off his spot. And then I'll let you do the next bit. There's obviously the Netherlands.
Well, it's the Netherlands game that it comes down to, doesn't it? And they need to win, by 3 goals?
By 3. They need to win, yeah, by 3.
And as you say, they were like finalists in the European Championships. And so this is Cruyff. This is like top Netherlands team.
Cruyff's not there. Cruyff's not there in '78 though, because he doesn't go. But yes, you're right though. It's basically everyone else bar Cruyff, and they make the finals again. And yeah.
And it's going well for Scotland. They're playing well. They're scoring goals, and we get that goal. What is it? I love one of my favourite films is Trainspotting. And what is it?
Yeah, I know. There's always everyone just talks about it. But even in that,
it's better than sex. It's that goal. It's
that Archie Gemmell goal. Yeah, it is a brilliant goal. But even that though, you say that they need to win by 3. They're all over the Netherlands, and then they give away the scrappiest penalty that they score. Then they go 2-1 up, and as you say, Gemmell scores that goal, and it's like, hang on, are they going to do it?
Yeah,
because they're 3-1 up. They need another goal, and I think they have a couple of chances to make it 4-1, and then I think it's Ari Hahn absolutely smashes one in from like a mile out. And it's like, oh, no.
It's one of those games where I think if you're watching it in that moment as well, if you're there, and I know certainly when looking at it, because again, being from this is Scotland's pinnacle. This is it. This is the game.
This is it. Yeah.
Where you're growing up, this is the one that I was forced to watch. And it's tragedy. What it's like watching a sad film now. Knowing you're going to cry at the end or something like.
Lassie's going to die. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is like watching Marley. The dog is.
That's the one. Does Lassie die? Probably not.
Marley and Me. I can't remember.
Yeah, Marley dies. Marley dies. I'm not sure Lassie does. I think.
Guys, if you haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, it's like you will watch down, and you're watching this thinking, do you know what? If Scotland do this, they have a chance. Like they could get through. They could win the next game, and maybe the next game. Like it'd be really interesting to see what would happen in the next round. But it comes down in truth.
Lo and behold. Behold, you won't need to worry about it.
That return ticket you bought, guys, well, it's still valid.
Yeah. They would have. Saying that, they would have gone into because 78 was weird and 74, they went into a group second round. So they would have gone into a group with Italy, West Germany, and Who did so it was the Netherlands? I don't know. Italy, West Germany, and someone else. It's on the other side. I don't know who would have been in it. I can't work it out now. Would have been Spain. I don't remember. But yeah, they would have gone into a second group. But you never know. You never know. Yeah. Stranger things would have happened.
Well, yeah, it would have been. It would have been great to see. I think it would have been great to see those players play more games. I think.
Yeah.
But then I think that was that. So we're peaking in terms of peak Scotland performance.
The 82 is brilliant. 82 is another one. Is like it's obviously not as comical. Well, it is as comical as 78, I'd say, because they get drawn in a group with New Zealand. They get Brazil, obviously, because they're at a World Cup, so you have to play Brazil, and the USSR, and the problem is that so they beat New Zealand 5-2, and again, I've never seen. I hold my hands up and say that I never watched that game until today. And they go, and Dalglish finally gets a goal. And I was saying to Ricky before the pod, I was going to give Dalglish some pelters for being a flat track bully because didn't seem to turn up at the World Cup for Scotland. But I think he scores in the Netherlands game in the 78, and he scores against New Zealand in 82, right? And then John Walk of Ipswich fame. And my dad's an Ipswich fan. And John Walk, I remember him I remember in the latter part of his career when he's got no hair and still has a moustache in 1993 or whatever. No one had moustaches. And he scores a couple, and they're 3-0 up at like half time against New Zealand. And then they try and throw it away. New Zealand score twice, and it's like 3-2, and you're like, oh god. Yeah. And then they finally get a couple, and it's like, okay, we beat New Zealand 5-2. And then they play Brazil. And do you remember David Neary? Have you seen that goal? David Neary's volley. He plays for like Aberdeen or something like that. So it's 0-0 against Brazil, mate. If you get a chance, go home and watch it. This game is like my dad always talks about this as well because he talks about that Brazilian team. Everyone talks about that Brazilian team and says it's the best team never to win a World Cup, right? Yeah, exactly. So all those guys, yeah, exactly. And David Neary scores probably one of the goals of the tournament against them, and it's almost like Brazil are like, who is this guy? What's he doing? This isn't about you, mate. And
this isn't in the script.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I just watched it. I'll be like, oh wow,
it's a ridiculously good goal. And then Brazil just like, you want to scale worldies, do you? And I think Zico gets one. There's one where like they got this guy. Brazil got this guy up front, so their whole team was like stacked, and everyone talks about them, and they go, "Oh, they're like the best Brazilian team never to win a World Cup," but their centre forward is rubbish. There's this big lump called Serginho, right? And there's like apparently there's the only number 9 they had in Brazil at the time, right? And he goes this goal where they scored this goal where it gets rolled into him, and he absolutely rolls his man and plays it out to Eder, and it's like 2-1 at the time, and Scotland are like scrambling about, and Eder does his chip. This disguised chip, and the goalie's got absolutely no chance, and it's just like, and then I think Falcao scores, and it's just mad, and it's like, why did you anger these guys? Why did you anger them? So then they go into the last game, obviously in '82, and it's like you've got so the USSR have lost 2-1 in their first game to Brazil, where they were winning. They have, I don't know what the USSR did against New Zealand, but I know their goal difference is better than Scotland's because they obviously didn't get hammered by Brazil as well, right? So they're like, right, we can't draw against the USSR. We have to beat them.
Yeah.
And they play Joe Jordan up front, I think because he's old now. And he starts because he doesn't start the other two. And he plays up front, he scores. And it's like, okay, it's on. We're going to beat the USSR. We're going to go through. It's on. And they get to half time.
3 World Cups as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's on. It's all coming together.
It's coming. Yeah, exactly. It's finally coming together. We're going to the second round. It's another convoluted second round with a group stage, but we're going to go there. And then it's like the Russians, or the USSR, if you want to call them that, they score just after half time to make it 1-1. And then the moment, and I got it wrong last time. I said it was Souness and Hansen, but it isn't. It's like, really, is it Miller and Hansen?
You know.
The collision. Oh my god! It's literally the ball like loops up on the halfway line, and they run into each other, and the guy runs off, And even then, there's still a chance to get back, isn't it? There's still like that. He doesn't just score; like it comes out, and it's like one of those agonising. Like
but it tells a story. It's
exactly. It's so Scottish, isn't it? It's so like it's such a Scotland goal to concede. You're one of the best centre backs in the world at the time.
Again, picture it as a Scottish fan at the time watching it. You're like, it's 2-1. It's happening. Hold on, and then you're like, it's this played out in slow motion in everyone's view, like when they're watching it, and there's like the what is it? We Have a Dream is the song that year. It's all going well.
Oh, right.
It's like, it's We Have a Nightmare. It's changed. It's ridiculous, and it's the same story. It's 2-2. Goal difference.
Is it 2-2 or 2-1? Is it 2-2? Did they draw 2-2? I thought they lost. Okay, they draw.
No, that was the goal that made it 2-2. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. God.
And it was it's great.
Again, they're out.
They're out. They're done. All they needed to do was win, but a clash of heads, and that's it. Is it?
And then
he wasn't. Yeah,
go
he wasn't. No. I was going to say he wasn't the one that gave Hansen it wasn't Hansen because it wasn't.
The weird scar that he had on his head? Yeah. No, I don't think it was that. I don't think it was
that one. No. It was. I can't remember which one that was from, but it wasn't Scotland. I think that was a Liverpool game.
Ah, right. Okay.
So yeah.
And then you got 86 because they're still qualifying. They're still qualifying every year. Like they're still flying, right? And 86 is brilliant. Well, not brilliant because like it starts off and Jockstein dies at a game, the manager, and you get a young Alec Ferguson who's won the league with Aberdeen, and he goes there to manage Scotland. And the first game, I think they get Denmark, and this is like so. When I talk about World Cups in international football, right, I always talk about like cycles and teams in cycles and whether you can spot a team that's going to win a tournament like before they win it, like years before. And obviously this Danish side in 1992, which is like 6 years later, but like obviously the players mature and all this other stuff, they win the European Championship. And in 1986, they're a good team. They've got Elkjaer, is it Juve, I think, or something like that. They've got good players. And obviously Scotland draw them. And it's one of the few times they don't actually draw Brazil. They get West Germany instead, which is just as bad. And they lose to Denmark 1-0. And then the German game, I love this. I remember this. I actually got vivid memories of this, only because Strachan puts them 1-0 up, right? And notoriously short Gordon Strachan in 1986. I can remember like computer games back in like the 90s would like replicate like a celebration from the 86 World Cup where like the guy jumps over there's that, and then they jump over the advertising boards as well. And Strachan can't, obviously, because he's tiny, and he makes fun of himself like pretending to try and jump over the advertising boards, and they're 1-0 up like very early against Germany. And then Rudy Volo is just like, no Scotland, you're not going to beat us. And then they lose. And then because it's a 24, it's that new style 2014 tournament that you get now with the European Championships. You've got you can still get through with one win. So they go into the last game knowing they can actually, because they've only lost their first two by one goal, they can still go through. It's going to be tight, but they can still go through. They play Uruguay. Now Uruguay are not the Uruguay of 1954. They've got Enzo Francescoli, that's it. There's only one guy really you'd say in that side. Yeah. And do you know the stat? What's the stat that happens in that Uruguay game? Famous World Cup record is broken. Do you know this little quiz for you?
Famous World Cup record is broken. Oh, I don't know that.
Right. Fastest ever sending off. This guy tries to kill Strachan at kickoff. Like literally, Batista, I think his name is. Is it Sergio Batista? Or am I confusing him with the Argentine guy in 99? I don't know. But he tries to kill Strachan at kickoff. So Scotland play 90 minutes against 10 men and can't score. 90 minutes against a 10-man Uruguay side that's turned up and absolutely stunk out the World Cup and done nothing. And they can't score.
That's ridiculous.
And in true Scotland style, they go home early again.
Because there is a theme we're asking everyone to identify. There's something Scotland have never done at a World Cup. We've heard them score goals. We've heard them concede. There's something they've never done. They've gone out on goal difference. They have never got past this first round. It's destined. As I say, that goes to the 50s is staying with them.
Exactly. They should have gone.
Underestimating South American teams again. They can't even do it. When they've got.
They should have. Yeah, they should have gone in 50. It's obviously put a curse on them. Making the tournament lopsided.
Alex Ferguson's never thought about going back to international football since either.
It's poison chalice, right? Too busy winning everything with Man United.
Yeah. So after that we've got they still qualify. Next one comes around 1990.
So 1990, they're still good, right? They qualify. Another one for you. Qualify ahead of France. So France have won the 84 European Championship. They've come third in 1986, and Scotland finish ahead of them in qualifying to beat them to qualify. And France don't qualify for another World Cup until they win it in 98, right?
Yeah.
And obviously there are people getting old and stuff, which is probably why that happens. But they qualify ahead of France. So you're like, you've got Mo Johnson, you've got Ali McQuist, you've got you've got Jim Leighton in goal, obviously. You've got a load of Alan Hansen still there. You've got a load of players that are playing good level football, I think Gary Gillespie from Liverpool is there. There's a guy. Who's the centre? There's a guy. Roy Aitken is playing. Like, they have got a good team. So again, they draw Brazil because it's a World Cup and they have to draw Brazil. They then get Costa Rica and Sweden, and it's like, right, okay, Costa Rica. And I was thinking about this because this is the first World Cup I watched, right? And I remember the Costa Rica game, and I'm pretty certain it's a Monday afternoon after school, right? And I'm sitting in my living room and I'm watching Scotland, Costa Rica, and I'm like, well, I'm 9. I know nothing about Costa Rica in 1990, right? I'm like, this team's got to lose to Scotland. That's all I know. They've got... I've done as much scouting as they have. And, as you know, have you seen the goal of that one?
No.
Good goal. Really good goals. The ball's in the box and they kind of work it out, and then someone does like a back heel and there's just a guy at the back post and he just smashes it in, and it's like, oh, God, here we go. But then they come to life and beat Sweden, right? Second game.
You'd think this is it. This is their World Cup now.
Yeah. It's their World Cup, as you say.
But no.
They beat Sweden. Decent Sweden. So Thomas Ravelli in goal, I think. Thomas Brolin would be there. Like, it's a decent Sweden team, right? Like, they're young, but this is a team that then 4 years later finishes fourth. So, they're a promising side. The team that I think they finished fourth in 94, and then they're semi-finalists in their own European Championship at home in 92, right? So they're not mugs, right? And Scotland beat them 2-1, and it's a good game, good performance. And you're like, right, okay, just draw against Brazil now. That you draw against Brazil, and that best runners-up place, is yours. Yeah, just draw against Brazil. That's all you got to do. Draw against Brazil, and they're holding on. They are like 70, 80 minutes into that Brazil game. I can't remember exactly what minute Brazil scored the goal in, but it's quite late in the game, and the shot comes in, and Leighton fumbles it. Jim Leighton fumbles. I'm putting guys at it. If you're not seeing the video of this, my head's in my hands. I'm like, Leighton fumbles it, and even then, it still looks like it's going to go wide. And Brazil have taken off a young striker they have by the name of Romario, and brought on this guy. I remember because he scored at Wembley, and his name's Muller, spelt the German way, and he's like an absolute donkey from what I remember of him, right? But the one thing he does is score from a ridiculous angle to knock Scotland out. And you're like, come on, guys, man.
It's that same story again. It's by Scotland. It's everything is tragic about it because it's all these stories every time. I mean, what I love about it is it's not just a case of they turned up, they played well, things didn't go well for them. There's something every time, but they do themselves. The fumble. the Costa Rica game, the World Cup before that, the Allen hands, the defenders running into each other. It's always of their own making.
It's never just they just got beaten by someone that was just better than them. And some of these teams probably are better than them, but they never just they always put in a good performance against someone better than them, don't they? There's always like a bit of like self-ownage. I don't know what you call it, or I don't know that's probably the modern phrase for it. It's just crazy. There's always a bit of just crazy defending or whatever. Like a player that has won everything at club level just becomes me for 10 seconds.
That's brilliant. So before 94 comes round, and I think before we get into so obviously 94 they don't qualify, and they're not alone. Lots of great teams don't qualify in 94. I'm just saying that because I'm English.
France don't go 94. There's you're right. There are teams. France don't go. England don't go. Scotland don't go. Anyone else that doesn't go in 94? No, everyone else is there. all the other good teams are there.
It's the one I remember watching. It was my first one I remember watching. But yeah, and so I think there's not many World Cups after that. So we'll take a break there.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and talk about
the later years.
Yeah. There's not much to go on after this.
Saved by the Bell, the later years.
Yeah. So we'll be back after this. So welcome back, everyone, and we're back in the final third now. Final third in terms of Scotland's abysmal appearances at World Cup so far, and of the podcast.
The dregs.
The dregs. But it starts off probably as good as it's going to get, I suppose. We're on France 98.
Yeah, a final appearance. Opening game of France 98. They played Brazil again because it can't not go to a World Cup and not play Brazil. And I always get it wrong. And one of either Junior Baiano or Cesar Sampaio score. I can't remember which one it is. It's a centre back. Comes up from a corner, scores to make it 1-0. And then they equalise. And this is interesting. Well, not interesting, but this is a fact I got wrong because we were talking about this the other day, and I said it was McAllister who took the penalty, but it wasn't, was it? Because McAllister missed the penalty in Euro 96 against us. So I believe by 98, John Collins is on penalty duties of Borussia Dortmund fame. No, it was John Collins. John Collins. Yeah, scores the pen, and it's 1-1, and you're like, you might nick a draw here, opening day against Brazil. But no, because it's Scotland, isn't it? And we have the Scotland Schadenfreude. And is it Tommy Boyd?
Tommy Boyd.
Own goal. Turns it into his own goal to make it 2-1. And you're like, oh, God, here we go.
And then it's one of those things where everyone was building up. The noise was all about Brazil as well coming into that World Cup. And it was like, hold on a minute. Scotland are doing well here. It's 1-1.
Yeah, they've managed to neutralise R9 for crying out loud, man.
Yeah.
And they didn't neutralise him because Tommy Boyd was going to score anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then they play Norway. And they play Norway, who are not as good as they... Well, I don't know whether you'd say they're as good as in 94, because they do top the group, Norway do, but they're not that good at that point. But they've got lots of players that obviously Premier League experience and stuff. And they draw 1-1. I always remember this because Craig Burley scores. And I think, interestingly, and this is how my brain works, I always associate things that I've seen in the World Cup with stuff that happened in my life. And I had a driving lesson after it. And I always remember having a driving lesson after Craig Burley had equalised against Norway. Yeah. Really good volley. It comes over his shoulder and he kind of volleys it over the goal.
Curling one, wasn't
it? To make it 1-0. And then they've got Morocco. And this reminds me of 82 a little bit. You kind of played Brazil, played the other team, and sort of you're still in it. And you've just got to get a result in this last game against Morocco. And as you know, they don't.
Do you think it's at this point where they've had so many of those kind of disappointments, one after the other, that Scotland in I don't know, in terms of their heritage, the brain, the way they think, they're just like, you know what? Maybe we're just not meant to be there.
It could be a psyche thing, though, isn't it? Like, it's a bit like when we talk about the German mentality and talk about how they always find a way to win.
Yeah,
like Scotland always find a way to lose.
It's in the back of their brain. It's like it's going to happen. Yeah. Like it gets to the last 10 minutes of every game, and it's like suddenly they're on the back foot. They're inviting all the pressure, and when it's like, I've played like this for 80 minutes. Why are you doing this now? Like, what's changed? Like,
yeah.
It is
definitely... And there's probably something to that. Yeah, like I see it now with West Ham. Like we can't defend at the moment, and we're panicking every time someone gets a corner. And these are players that probably, if you take them out of that team and put them in somewhere else, they probably wouldn't play like that. Yeah. So I can't imagine that, like if you're a Scottish player and you're at a World Cup and it's happening again.
That's the thing. There's been some teams where, or times in the last few years, where Scotland individuals they'll have decent individuals playing decent football at top level clubs, and you think, well, surely they'll go to Scotland and do something. Admittedly, not as many strikers in recent years, and which then they've got them goals previously. But they have had some decent players, and we'll come on to where they are now. But to then have 6 consecutive World Cups where you're not after that,
even in this, not even in with a shout. I mean, I wrote, like they got Bertie Vogts in, German hero from. Did he play in 80s? No, Bertie Vogts plays in 74. Wins the World Cup in 74. Comes to manage Scotland. Only manages to achieve getting them into their lowest ever FIFA ranking of 77th, which is pretty appalling. They're in our qualifying group in 2018. Do you remember we go to Hampden and Harry Kane scores late and we draw it? They're in our qualifying group in, I know it's not a World Cup, Euro 2000.
Yeah.
Don Hutchinson scores and they beat us at Wembley, but Paul Scholes scored twice and we beat them at Hampden. And that wasn't even that was a playoff, wasn't it? It wasn't even a qualify. I think it was a playoff. Oh my God, yeah. So they could have gone then, and they just keep. And then the most recent one, they get to the playoffs at the last World Cup, and they play Ukraine in the semi. And if they'd have won, they'd have played Wales, which. And I know it wouldn't have worked out that way, but you could argue that they would have got into our group if they qualified for the World Cup. It would have been an England-Scotland group match.
It was due to be, because I had tickets for that game.
Oh no, because they drew the World Cup before the playoff was played.
Yeah, and so we knew the game we had tickets for was if they won was going to be England-Scotland, and so we were like, this is going to be amazing, blah blah, and then obviously it didn't happen, and then COVID happened anyway, so no one got to go.
Right. No, that's you're thinking Euro 2. COVID wasn't the World Cup. That's 22.
Oh, 22.
You're thinking Euro 2020, yeah.
Euro. Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Where we played them. We played them in Euro 2020 in the groups.
It was Euro 22. Yeah, where we did play them. Yeah. Because they redrew the tickets. That's what it was. It was just in green.
Oh.
So even if you had a ticket,
because it got pushed back a year. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So they redrew it and only gave it to 20,000 fans. So it went like
yes, because it's like limited. They didn't have full. Like you couldn't sit next to people.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and what is it? And then you think, the last World Cup was it? You look at their qualifying. It actually wasn't that bad. It was 10 games, 7 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss, and they still didn't qualify. It's like
that's the thing, though, isn't it? Yeah.
That is the most Scottish qualifying record you're going to get.
Yeah, I know, right? That's decent. That's like league. That's like league title form. That is really
Yeah.
And you.
You think the previous one, what is it, Russia? It was 10 games, 5 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses. So you're like, well, yeah, I can understand why.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty bad.
5 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses. You're like, well, okay, those draws cost them. Yeah, now it's like, hold on a minute, that's winning mentality.
That's decent.
Well.
That's decent. Yeah.
Yeah, but
so
no, it's still not meant.
So the question is, do they go this year or next year?
Can they?
Do they get to a playoff?
They fit.
Yeah, right. That's it. He's obviously not Scottish, is he? Really, he's not Scottish anymore. That's Italian. Why. It's Italian, exactly. Well, they've got a habit of chucking qualifiers away at the moment as well, so that might not help them. But
this is it. And what? So they're in. We know they've got Greece, Belarus, Denmark, and they're in the playoff place.
Second, yeah.
And it looks like
pretty much guaranteed it, aren't they?
Yeah,
Why don't they chuck it away?
We spoke previously about who they could face. We'll find out soon enough. It's looking like the teams in the playoffs could still be Italy and Germany, and it's looking less likely to be Germany now. But there are big hitters in there. So are we going to see that Scotland get drawn against one of the big hitters, and it's going to be
get Brazil? Get Brazil in the playoffs.
Is it the last intercontinental playoff they won was against Australia or something like it was?
Oh, really?
I don't think they're going to get Australia this time.
No, Australia qualify automatically, I think.
Yes. So yeah, this is going to be really interesting. Do we think Scotland are going to make it this time?
Unfortunately, I'm going to say no. I don't think they will. Do you know why? Because you've got to play two. Like they'll get through, and even if they win that semi-final, they're going to have to play a final against someone. So they're gonna come up against someone good. I know. I honestly, I'm not just saying it. Whenever they go to World Cup, I like them. I really want them to do well. So in my head, I'm like, I want you to make it, but I just can't see it, man. I'd love to be wrong.
Do you know what? Everything's against them in terms of their history. And you think, well, okay, we've opened up the World Cup. There's 8 more positions, 8 more spots. You have a really good qualifying round. You're going to go into a playoff, but this time you've got to play twice. And you're going to win the semi-final. And then you're going to play the best team available. And it's probably going to lose 1-0 or 1 or 2-1 in the last 10 minutes. It's like it's going to be very Scottish. If it happens, it's going to get that. I think it will go down to the wire for them, and it would just be tragic. Can I see a 1-0 win in the final against a big team? It's looking doubtful. Because even with the qualifying this round, it's away from home. It's that same old story. They play at Hampden, they do well. They go away and they struggle. This tournament's being held elsewhere. I think, they're not going to do well.
Well, let's see. Hopefully we're wrong, eh? Hopefully we're wrong, and we are in the summer talking about Scott McTominay and playing more Ali's Tartan Army in anticipation of their first opening group game against Brazil, and then a damp squib where they lose to like Panama or something like that, and then a rousing victory in a game that doesn't mean anything against someone half decent.
Can you imagine? So we're in Scotland do well. They win their the semi-final. Their playoff finals against Italy. Scott McTominay wakes up with like a Highland cow's head in his bed, and he's like, "You got to throw this game. Can you go back to Napoli after this?" It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Scotland in this thing. Hopefully, we're wrong, and we get to see Scotland and cheer them on in the summer. But I don't know. The tragic curse of Scotland might strike.
Watch this space. Yeah. Saved by the Bell, the later years continues. Watch this space. Yes.
So we've gone through quite an intense background for Scotland. We've talked about the Greek tragedy that is Scottish football, and their journey at the World Cup, or lack of, in recent years. So another one ticked off in terms of our podcast series. Next week is we got the build up to the next qualifying campaign in terms of the next international break for the next episode. So there's lots to play for, lots to go down. So we'll be summarising what's going on there, and then we'll leave it there and say bye to you all. So thanks for listening.
All right. Cheers for listening, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the trip down memory lane. Hopefully I'm not going to go into work tomorrow and get abused from a lot of Scottish people, because I work with lots of them. Guys, I do love your football team. They're just tragic in the way they play at major tournaments. Right, see you later.
Take care. Bye.